Welcome back. If you're just joining us, it's Daybreak on Trust Television, and it's that segment where we bring you stories that made it to the front page of select newspapers in Nigeria this morning. And as it's a tradition, we would begin with the Daily Trust. By the way, the Daily Trust is celebrating 25 years of robust journalism in Nigeria. The major story: robbers kill 4 in shopping mall near Abuja. They forced customers to lay flat on the ground. Survivor. It was like a dream. Our operatives responded on time. This is according to police. I'm not sure what they mean by responding on time, because what would make sense to Nigerians is if they had picked up those robbers or prevented those 4 deaths from happening. I'm not sure what estimate
or even what chased after those robbers
is exactly responding on time. If you did not stop the crime from happening, you should at least arrest the culprit. One of the two would be considered a successful intervention. You'll find the details of the story on page 4. And to other stories: Kano government, 44 local government lock horns over funds for capital project. The details of that you'll find on page 10. NJC, that is the Nigeria Judicial Commission budget, increased to 341.6 billion from 165. Interesting. And I think this is a follow-up from the National Assembly budget that also got a similar increase, about 100%, if you like. Ondo governor suspends local government caretaker chairman. And the second biggest story to cover: fears over new petrol price hike as marketers plot 1,200 per litre. And no need to panic. NNPC. And to the stories below the nameplate: Chief Imam, Okada riders killed in fresh plateau attacks. 35 billion fraud. AFCC mulls Sadia's arrest for shunning interrogators. And my successors plunge Nigeria into debt burden. And this is coming from former President Olusegun Obasanjo. I mean, and that gory picture on the front page of buildings destroyed by Israeli bombardment in the central Gaza Strip from a position across the border in southern Israel yesterday. This is really an eyesore. And I mean, just merely looking at this picture, you can begin to imagine the humanitarian situation, you know, of the people disturbing. Who were previously resident in this part of town.
And sometimes I just think to myself, like, the city of Gaza will never, ever, ever be the same again.
I mean, it can't be. There's so much bloodshed has happened here, and so much bad memories for those who are still alive that it can never remain the same again.
The collapse, the trauma and everything, it's just too much.
Way too much.
And the NNPC denying increment of petrol price, we've heard that before. It's sounding like a cliche right now. We've heard when the NNPC will tell you that there's no increase, and then the Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria will be telling you that, see, NNPC will do theirs. We know what we go through to actually bring this product here. So if we don't sit on the table to talk about it, maybe NNPC is saying that they have this in control. They probably have this in control. And we hope that that is the case.
Well,
1,200, that is a lot.
Administration, completely. Completely. I don't see how Nigerians can take that sitting down.
Exactly.
Well, that's it on the front page of the Daily Trust.
All right, now let's take a look at The Guardian, where we have... the lead story is on vandalism, and it says the fresh concerns for public assets as repairs cost over 132 billion naira yearly. All right, there's some pictorials showing some of this asset, and road infrastructure, pipelines, rail lines, cable, top list of vandals, a target. And federal government expends 60 billion naira on pipeline repairs in 2023. Also, we have there stakeholders seek stiffer sanctions for vandals, enlightenment of the public. All right, that sounds very interesting. You might just want to read further on page 6 to get more insight on this vandalism and how the public can be enlightened towards this and how they can avoid it. Get details there in the Guardian newspaper. Below that, we have ex-ministers spawns a summons as EFCC arrests NSIPA ex-boss. Just recently she was suspended and now arrest. Wow. All right, let's hope that EFCC is, doing their job, and the investigation will show what this is all about. At the end of the day, we'll just have to keep our fingers crossed and see what happens. Atiku to lead opposition alliance against Tinubu ahead of 2027 election. All right, in 2024, people are already getting ready for the 2027 elections. I hope INEC is getting ready as well, because that's very important. A lot of backlash from the conduct of the 2023 election and even the off-season election. So let's see how prepared INEC and other stakeholders are getting into 2027 election. You've not met expectations, TUC tells Tinubu and list demands. Page 3 of the Guardian newspaper accommodate that story. And let's go below that story. We have ICPC probes alleged 6 weeks degree scheme by Cotonou University, quizzes undercover reporter. I remember as an undergraduate, I wanted to, explore there and see maybe if I can graduate in less than 2 years, because I've had stories about how people go, there's no strike, you can graduate in 3 years and all of that. But it seems to be a problem now. So let's see what the probe will bring out at the end of the day. But you can read further on page 5 how ICPC tends to probe this alleged 6 weeks degree scheme by Cotonou University. And then Boko Haram terrorists killed 12 residents in Chibok. Chibok is on the news again. And page 30. And the Guardian newspaper has that story. NNPC denies increment of petrol price to 1,200. I think when you say it like that, it sounds like a big money. When you say 1,200, when people say I want 1,200 and 1,200, it sounds differently, and you give importance to the one that says 1,200.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. When you go to places like Lagos, they would even describe 2,000 as 2 naira.
Wow.
They don't have the energy.
That's not 2 naira. And somebody will describe 2 million as 2 naira. Come on, they're not the same thing.
They're not. All right, moving on to the Punch newspaper this morning. Leading there with the major report, APC promises heavy defeat as Atiku eyes 2027 presidential bid. Come on, guys. Come on. Atiku has wisdom, capacity, energy. Will run in 2027, says AIDS. PDP welcomes ex-VP. Others. At what age again? 80.
All right.
Okay.
I can see the drama is beginning to ensue, and we'd love to see.
You can have wisdom, you can have age. I mean, you can have capacity, but age happens to even the best of us.
It could be...
APC says SVP will be defeated again. Obi will contest. Atiku should support him. Labour Party insists. I mean, let the poor breathe.
I think this kind of arguments comes in a pre-election year.
Period.
But this is not even a pre-election year.
We cannot pretend not to see the things in front of us.
Exactly.
And begin to talk about 2027.
Yes.
To the stories on the window, Obasanjo faults 88 trillion debt burden, says relief mismanaged. FG to withdraw recognition of Kenya, Uganda, and Niger universities. I mean, the speed with which the federal government seems to be banning every other country. So university now is surprising. So what was happening to all of these places before the report? Was the ministry just lying docile and waiting for something like that report to happen before they kick into actions?
I think what we do in this country is just not pay attention to some important things and just sweep them under the carpet. I know that this is not something that has been happening today. It's been happening for a very long time. A lot of graduates we see in the NYSC camp graduated from some of these nearby African countries, and some of them spent less than 3 years. It's not something that is new. We all know about this, but I think somebody just had to go into investigation and then bring out names, indict people, and then something has to be done at the end of the day. Regardless of that, we're happy that this is happening. Investigation should be carried out. I see that ICPC is very interested in this, and other stakeholders too want to see how the outcome of the investigation will be. But the ban is imminent at the moment, and I'd like to say that this is a bittersweet kind of feeling, because I know that the universities in Kenya, Uganda, the people spend up to 4 years, 5 years, and they do things accordingly. But let's see, maybe there will be some sort of sieving at the end of the day, and that is for what I have about this.
Yeah, and just to take it up from what you said, it is also not completely true that all of the universities in the places where we have been operating illegally, or even operating under this kind of mushroom environment. There are very standardized schools in these places doing the right thing, putting out people within the right framework and time frame, if you like, and churning out professionals that can compete with graduates from every part of the world. So this is not an indictment on what they are doing right. It's basically if what should be a collaboration to flush out all the elements that are bringing bad names to the good ones.
The question now remains, what happens to the ones that have been accredited? And
we need to go back in time, dig up all of the ones that we have previously accredited and find a way of nullifying what we have done. We cannot pretend to continue to live with the mess, because they will continue to contaminate the systems where they operate, because they haven't neither the requisite educational qualification or even the training to occupy the offices that they do, if indeed they are within our civil service or public service, as the case may be, or even the private sector. To other stories, EFCC threatens Buhari's ex-minister's arrest over 37 billion fraud. And you have this picture there of police returning rescued trafficked children to Bauchi. I mean, look at how innocent and tender.
Yeah, so young. These are infants, if you ask me.
They have no idea of the place or what is even going on there. And I hope this is a big lesson, for us as a people. No plan to hike fuel price, NNPC assures Nigerians. FGI 750,000 jobs with gas initiative. An ex-Sierra Leonean president indicted in failed coup relocates to Nigeria. Mother of quadruplets held in Delta Hospital, over 4 million bills. This is not just about the government. I think all of us need to come to the aid of this woman. And President will return Bayelsa oil fields taken under Buhari. This is from the Minister of Petroleum, Lekbo Biri. And that's it on the front page of the Punch newspaper.
Now let's take a look at the Nigerian Tribune. The lead story there says 2024 budget designed to take care of ruling class, TUC says. And there are writers attached to it, and it says once inflation crashed from 28.20% to 9.4%.
How visible is that? I mean, this is not a wish. This is something that needs to be worked on. There are several factors that have given rise to inflation. Insecurity is one, which has prevented farmers from accessing their farmlands and being unable to produce. Therefore, implies that the little supply we have has more mouths, chasing the few foodstuffs, and naturally prices will go up. We have seen the price of transportation also impacted by the cost of diesel, which has seen prices quadruple you know, from 250 naira per liter of diesel to about 1,400. Naturally, things will go up. So, a number of factors, some of them imported factors. We are taking scarce resources to bring in fuel rather than refine or find ways to refine locally, and so it means we are spending all of our foreign exchange just trying to support one sector of the economy. So there are loads of reasons why this inflation exists. You can't wish it away by saying, okay, now we are coming to pronounce 9.5% inflation in 12 calendar months. That is basically putting our hopes at a level where we know they would not practically be met. Well, they've given this ultimatum. We'll see.
But we're talking about food. We know that this is going to linger for a while.
That's right.
I don't know if anybody is thinking towards this direction, but you know, I feel like everywhere where food is produced, one food or the other, that is peculiar to the Nigerian climate, there's one form of insecurity or the other. Go to Benue, where we have the Agatu people who farm, go into the yam farming and all of that, fish and all of that. Has been bedeviled by insecurity. You go to the north, where we have people farming cassava and all of that. It's been bedeviled by insecurity. Now look at Jos, where we have the Irish potatoes. We have, you know, some of the fresh, you know, tomatoes and all of that. It's, you know, in chaos. So you just wonder, how long are we going to go through all of this, and how long do we have to be patient for we to tackle this insecurity problem and be able to make sure that, you know, food is sufficient for everybody? And that's why we keep having, you know, you go to the market today with 25,000 naira, you buy something, and then the next day you have to buy what you bought for 25,000 naira for maybe 35,000 naira or even 40,000 naira. It just keeps happening, and I hope the government do something as soon as possible. If this measure is not working, let's deploy many measures, and if we need help, we should ask for help. But the problem is just there. Somebody will tell you that another nation has their own problems. They probably will not want to, you know, help you and to unravel some of this mystery. But we keep talking about it. That's our own form of advocacy. I hope the government listens and act accordingly. But let's get back to this rider that demands implementation of all agreements with government. And then the last rider for the lead story on the Nigerian Tribune says, is insisting, they are insisting on 2023 was a year of lost opportunities and dashed hopes. All right, so above that lead story have on 2024 budget, National Assembly gets highest allocation in 25 years. Why should they? That's the question many Nigerians will be asking. But you probably will get that answer on page 3 when you read further this morning in the Nigerian Tribune. And then fan keeps mom 7 months after thieves carted away Lagos airport cables.
I hope there's two funny stories. First of all, the National Assembly budget. I hope they will not become prayers that will be sent to the emails of members at the end of the day.
All right.
You know, and then for the life of me, I am finding it difficult to wrap my head around how thieves can walk into a very busy airport like the Lagos airport.
Exactly.
24, whether it is operational 24 hours, and cut away very sensible cables and take a walk out of. And the Lagos airport is the parameters are surrounded by naval base and huge security arrangements around this vicinity. How do people confidently walk into this place, dig up cables, and make away with them?
Exactly. Those are the questions that you want to get answers to.
Only
but
Nigeria.
Only fan can give us the answer to that. But they're keeping mum about all of this development. Let's see what happens. Maybe with this story, there'll be a statement at the end of the day, or even after today. Let's just keep our fingers crossed and see what happens. And then we have another story in front of the Nigerian Tribune. Says, with license, Nigerians can bear arms. That's coming from the one and only Femi Falana. Get details of that on page 3.
You know, the Gun Producers Association in the US one time, in the rising phase of terrorist attacks, said the only way to stop the bad man with a gun is to arm the good man with a gun. I'm not sure how that's that comment, plays out in the context of Nigeria.
But I might just want to add that the bad man might not hesitate, but the good man will at some point.
Well, if your life is threatened, sometimes you would not hesitate. But there's a very interesting story there on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. It's a strip, the bottom strip, that talks about fingerprint to soon replace mammogram for breast cancer detection. That looks like some recent research outputs.
Exactly.
And a very interesting one.
Yes, I think if you can use fingerprint, to detect it, early detection, they say, is very important.
Yeah.
So just for fingertips and not going into some sort of rigorous tests, I think it will really, really help curb the issue or curb the menace of breast cancer. If you look at the data, it keeps increasing, and even young people now have been affected with this disease, and it's really appalling, if you ask.
It is, and fearful too.
Yes.
Frightful. We now move on to the Nigerian News Direct with the major story, blame game, Nigeria under incompetent economic management since 2014. Moalu is a former deputy governor of the central bank, and later went on to become a professor at the University of California. It's also a presidential candidate, I guess.
Yes, Kingsley Moghalu. Yes, I think the name resonates among Nigerians. It was, the election before this one, that was in 2019, Kingsley Moghalu. So, after the election, a lot of people didn't hear so much.
You find this interesting response from Tinubu's aide. He said incompetent leaders paid salary arrears and invested massively in it. Somehow the government taps itself for paying salaries of its workers.
Exactly.
That's some achievement, isn't it?
Wow.
Then Dangote Sugar, UBA tops gainers chart as NGS saw crosses 77,000 mark.
Wow.
In the new year, and cash withdrawals not allowed from virtual asset account. This is coming from the Central Bank of Nigeria. And to other stories, at the top of the nameplates there, we have Naira hits new low of 1,035 to the dollar at the official market. This is not good.
Wow.
Ayeda Tiwa suspends 18 caretaker chairmen in Ondo, and Segun Ogusaya to retire as Airtel Africa CEO.
So the question a lot of Nigerians will be asking now is that which one is the cash withdrawals not allowed from virtual asset account?
So
and then questions
transfer,
like...
And then you can spend... so you didn't... If the cash didn't come in and it was virtual payment, you have to... You can spend by making purchases or making payments for item, but you can't take out cash.
Wow, that will really cripple business activities from some people.
I mean, but for the young people who are involved, they have their way of doing things. Usually what they do is to find something very expensive and resellable, and they make purchases and pay out the bill. So when it gets here, they dispose and take the cash equivalent.
Well,
I mean, but whatever is the reason for preventing cash withdrawal, I'm not exactly sure.
At all. Anyway, some people are not that technologically inclined. Sorry. So you probably will not know what you're getting into.
No, but people who play in this cryptocurrency, they are one step ahead of me and you.
The cryptocurrency, I know a lot of people who have invested in cryptocurrency and depend on other people to help them navigate.
Yeah.
So if you're such kind of person, I think you should be asking questions.
You depend on such people to also help you move your funds. I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do we have any other selected national dailies who'd like to go? Okay, let's look at the Daily Independence now before we go. The lead story here is on huge debts, and you'll be wondering, where this debt is coming from. It's on the next generations of Nigerians have no option. All right, on the huge debt. That's coming from the former president of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo. It started on the front page. Continue reading further on page 28 and see what this huge debt is all about and how the next generations of Nigerians have no option. Okay, so I think it's more like the IMF loans and other loans and the debts that is accumulating by the day, year on year. So get details of that in Daily Independence. Above that, we have federal government to launch consumer credit system to drive economic recovery. Started on the front page as well. And then no increase in PMS prices. NMPC Limited assures Nigerians. And it says further increase will be resisted. NANS wants federal government. I think that is a Nigerian national. Okay, I think NANS is the Student Union, Nigerian Association of National Association of Nigerian Students. You can get more details of that. And then gunmen railed supermarket in Nasarawa, kill 4 persons. And then bombs kill at least 103 at Iran Memorial for slain general. Wow.
The interesting story for media, of course, is FG to launch consumer credit system to drive economic recovery. So with your credit ratings, it determines what you can readily get off as borrowings from the bank. And it's one thing that we needed to have gotten off the ground a long time ago, because most economies are driven by the credit system, which shows basically what your credit behaviors or credit scores are. And that means that even in loans, we can be priced differently, even though we want the same money, because of our credit scores, which basically suggests that one person is more prudent than the other, and all of that. I hope it works. I hope you are serious about